This is Continuum Drag, a podcast where we watch sci-fi, fantasy, and everything in between. This week, Space Precinct, episodes 23 and 24.
Why do I get the idea that every officer in my staff is out there doing social work?
Welcome to Continuum Drag, the podcast retiring to the suburban satellite city we live on. I'm Luke, here with my co-host Jordan. What's real, Jordan?
If he's clean, I'm a Valerian glue dog. That was a line. Do you remember it?
I do not remember that particular line.
Oh, I was like, oh, that's gold. I got to write that down. Valerian glue dog?
A Valerian glue dog?
Yeah, that's what they said.
I have a lot of questions, but they're never going to be answered. But before we get into it too far, we are joined by a returning guest this week. Mark, thank you for coming back to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
When were you here last time? What did you record last time you were here?
It's been over a year. The last time it was Earth 2.
Earth 2. It's got to be more than that.
Might be 2 years, but it was Earth 2, and it was. I was trying to remember the episodes, but
that's okay. I'm impressed you remembered what it was.
Well, I remembered it because I was like a huge Earth 2 fan, so it was really. I remember last time it was really fun because I hadn't seen it since I was a kid, and I'm a big Tim Curry fan, so it's always fun when he pops up and things. But
what were those sand people called in that show? Do you remember?
Oh, no.
Do I remember? No, I don't. I can't have. I can't.
I just remember their faces.
They haunt your dreams?
Yeah, they haunt my dreams. I like the show.
Well, we brought you on for our final recording on Space Precinct. This is not a show you'd ever heard of before?
No, you know what? I hadn't heard of it. I've never heard of it. I was disappointed that I'd never heard of it before.
It is something to behold. What about Gary Anderson, the TV auteur Gary Anderson? Yeah,
I recognize his name, and then when I did a Google search because I knew I had heard of him, and it was like he's from, was it like Thunderbirds, and those old marionette space things. I was disappointed I didn't know about this as a kid because I feel like I would have eaten it up back in the 90s.
Well, I asked you on because I know you have an affinity for practical effects and interesting kind of puppet work and that kind of stuff. And when I started watching this, when Jordan and I both started watching this, the first episode, we were just we're like, what is it? What is all this puppet work? How have I not heard of this show that is 98% insane puppet work?
Yeah. No, I appreciated that the links you sent me kind of had they were clearly rips from the Blu-ray DVD re-release, so it was nice to even get a glimpse of all the behind the scenes. They teased all the practical effects work before the episode started, and I didn't get a chance to go look into that more, but I was really blown away. I was this was, especially for the 90s, I feel if it could have been a Star Wars TV show, the level as far as TV goes, I feel that would have been a very appropriate TV quality piece of Star Wars. But
it is remarkable. Even in these episodes, we're seeing new aliens pop up. It's almost every episode they create a new alien species that is very weird and interesting to look at. So it is a show that has really put a lot of money and time into the effects of the episodes. So a Star Wars TV show is a good way of comparing it. It is that heavy with alien effects.
Yeah. Well, and even the miniatures and the special effects, I was really impressed. A lot of it, I did a little bit of Googling and just because I was curious, what, between it being a UK production, but heavily Americanized for sales, I guess. And then also just the fact, just how much there was a bit about the actors and how much the time intensive all that makeup work was. And it was I think the main, was it Quigley? Or no, the
Podley. Captain Podley. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I think he's played by a British theater legend, but he's just caked with this clam faced kind of alien mask.
I was really watching it this time, and you could really see on some of the aliens where the mask fits over the top of the human's head, and they press it down and put it up. I'm it must be insane. It must be so heavy on your neck to be walking around with the extra 10 pounds of makeup, the moving eyeballs on the side of your head.
Yeah, no, you got machine, and you could kind of tell where their eyes might actually be able to sneak through, get a glimpse through the wrinkles in their forehead. But yeah, I was blown away. It was actually really entertaining, and it was kind of trippy though too, because a lot of the story, it could have been like an episode of Law and Order. Like, it wasn't too crazy as far as like being this interstellar. Like, there were elements, there were obviously aliens, but if you just swapped out some, they talked about social workers and like a lot of like very domestic and relevant Earth, protocols like in the show. I was like, which I don't know, like, I guess it makes it engaging, but it was kind of funny at times. Like, it felt like such a domestic issue at times, but they just all looked insane.
Well, it is a question, and we've talked about this a bit, and I was looking into kind of the end of the show because it only got one season, and it was over, and it was aimed at the American market. And I guess a lot of kind of maybe what made it unsuccessful is, well, some American networks picked it up because the tonally was like, it's too dark sometimes to be a family show, but like it's full of wacky aliens and like comedy sidekicks, that I think American networks ended up like programming it late at night because they just didn't know what to do with the show, which I think led to its eventual death, as it was not popular enough in the rest of the world to make up for the budget, because they just didn't know what to do with the like wild tonal shifts the show goes through.
Yeah. No, at first, like, there was a moment where it made me think of dinosaurs, but they, that show really embraced the sitcom format, and it worked really well. And it was like, you knew where to slot that on a Friday night. But yeah, like the show, and I mean, these were the first 2 episodes I had seen, and the way it started, like I was like, okay, I could get into this. And then all of a sudden they threw that old lady alien named her like off the rooftop. And like, they didn't just like cut away, like you followed her down. Like you were
right to her death on the cement.
Camera was on her. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that got, even for me now, that was like a little darker than I needed. Even Law and Order like wouldn't show an old lady get thrown off a roof from that vantage point.
Very strange show that way.
Yeah.
Since we're getting to the last episode, I did want to play a quick game, and obviously, Mark, this is a little bit more of a challenge for you, so you can take it or leave it. But usually, when we take the escape pod, which we did on this show, we've only watched 10 of the 24 possible episodes. So there's a bunch of episodes we didn't watch. So I'm going to go through. I've taken a few names of episodes, and typically I have Jordan, since he's seen more, try to guess or make up what he thinks the plot of that episode would have been based on the title. Mark, if you want to jump in on this, feel free to when I give a title. If something pops to your mind, like, I know what this episode was about, you feel free to.
Right.
But if you guys are ready, I'm going to do this. We're going to play this game. Jordan, your first title is 2 Against the Rock.
Mark, do you have anything?
2 Against the Rock. What did it have something to do with like a space version of like Alcatraz? Like 2 cops against like some space rock?
That's good. That's a good plot, Jordan.
I think it's that.
Now that you bought yourself time.
I think it's that. Yeah, exactly. I think it's that our leads, Brogan and Haldane, they are accidentally handcuffed, but some sort of futuristic handcuff, to an alien that's. That
is Dwayne Johnson.
His nickname is The Rock. He's like a monster, and his nickname is The Rock. And they have to try to fight themselves out of this situation they get. Maybe they get stuck in like prison or something, but they gotta like get out, and they're all attached to this guy. He's The Rock.
Mark, the episode is about them trapped on a prison asteroid.
There we are.
Nailed
Probably
it.
a better
Nailed
episode.
It. All right. The next episode title is called The Forever Beetle.
I don't know.
It's fine. Jordan can come in.
Yeah.
I think that the Forever Beetle is what they find is there's this underground drug ring, and they're actually snorting beetles because they think it's helping people to live like what they think will be everlasting life sort of thing. But it has horrible consequences and makes you into a rock alien.
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
I like that.
The episode is about someone stole the beetle.
That's more like this show. Yeah, that's it.
All right, the next episode's title is Hate Street.
Political episode.
Was this the like episode that tackled like racism?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Like that 90s PSA episode.
You find out he's a raging racist. And he's got to get over it.
You find out that police might be racist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even
and
in
even in
space.
science fiction, I can't imagine.
It's too outlandish. The episode is actually about immigrants are targeted by racists.
Hey, that's pretty close.
There you go.
I mean, it is pretty much on it. What about this, Jordan? Smelter Skelter.
Smelter Skelter. Mark, do you have anything?
Probably, maybe. I mean, there was some mind control in the finale that we watched, so maybe something where if like an odor that kind of takes over you, and
Oh,
that
I like
if you
this.
smell it, you're under its spell.
I think it's a group of aliens are working in a mine, and there's people have been saying they're seeing ghosts, and so they investigate the ghosts in these mines, but everyone's just getting high from the fumes from the mine.
all of your stories are them getting high in some sort of underground world.
Are they? Are they all getting high? Oh no, they were getting high. They were just using beetles for everlasting life.
It is about bank robbers who use a mining laser.
Well, yeah, you got the mine element. That's impressive.
This is your final one. Predator and Prey.
Okay, I think I know what it is. I think, Mark, you can have one, but I think what it is it's not what you think. It's actually a bit of a femme fatale, and she has her eyes on Brogan, and she's trying to kill him, but in sexy ways. 90s style. 90s erotic thriller style.
Like a femme Nikita, like a little.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I mean, I have to remind you, Jordan, that this is a children's show, or at least a family show.
Well, again, actually, it was a very good point that Mark made about the old lady falling to her death. Everything, and it seems like it's a kid show, but then they do stuff, and you're like, should a kid be watching this? They're like, this is a kid show. This episode's about pimps.
Well, Jordan.
You're like, oh, okay.
Well, Jordan, Predator and Prey is really about a series of dancing girl murders. That's the actual plot. And dancing girl, I think, is a euphemism for a exotic dancer.
Yeah. Next on 10:30 a.m.
Gather the kids around. The dancing girls
Yeah,
are
exactly.
being murdered. Who did it? All right. Well, that's the lead, and those are some of the episodes we did not watch. It's crazy to me. It is. I can't figure out the tone of the show to save my life based on.
I'm glad we didn't watch that bug episode. That sounds terrible.
But let's get into it. Here's the IMDb summary for episode 23, Death Watch Part 1. The arrival of a mysterious meteor fragment on Altor heralds the start of strange events at Rodham Towers on Kazuki Street, where residents are being terrorized into relocating.
Let me just say one thing. Mark, you mentioned it from the beginning that these were the HD transfers for these episodes. And I don't know, Luke, which episodes you've watched, but these are the first ones I've seen that are HD of everything we've watched, and they look so much better. The show looks like a million times better than all the other episodes we've watched, and to the point where I'm like, I really, really wish I had watched the HD versions. It's so much more watchable.
Yeah, I watched most of them on the HD because theirs are released by the Gary Anderson Corporation on their YouTube channel. So they're just like super high quality.
Well, I read too that they actually shot on 35 millimeter, so that's why the scans, like the digital scans, are so like comparable for today. Like it was, because I was impressed too, and I was like, what? Why does this look so good?
It is nice that it's through this kind of like Gary Anderson was an auteur. Like they saved all of his work. So, like, the company still has all the originals. So, like, they could do, like, an HD transfer of a show no one's heard of before.
No, it was really impressive. And I appreciated, too, like, I didn't really look at it, but it was kind of nice that these two were, like, a 2-hour or kind of two-parter.
Yeah.
The finale. Because it seems like the others are all kind of one-offs.
Pretty standalone, usually. So, this was a nice sort of two-parter. And it opens, the HD really helps here, is it opens with a tear in the fabric of space and a speckled asteroid flying out towards Altar. I kept waiting for that tear in space to come back to, like, to be part of the plot, but it's just there, I guess. It's just like, it's fine. The asteroid tore through space. A military intelligence outpost tracks its approach to the planet as it crashes into a farm, and this farmer who's there goes to check it out and is, I guess, he's like irradiated and like possessed by the asteroid. Again, they never explain how the asteroid, which we'll later learn is a plant, possesses human beings also.
Yeah.
It does, I would say, maybe. And I'll say this. I actually think for this show, these are two of the best episodes we've seen, at least in my opinion. However, in saying that, the asteroid / alien / plant or whatever it is, it has maybe a couple too many like rules, too many powers that like it's doing one thing, it's doing something else, it's doing something else. I'm like, all right, I think it just
devices.
setting up spores is enough. I think it's enough for the thing to be doing.
And of course, the farmer, now possessed by the asteroid, murders his droopy-eared alien farmhand.
Yeah, and Luke, this is just for you and me. Didn't he look just like Pudface from the RoboCop TV show?
Oh, that's what he looked like. I was trying to figure out what that alien looked like, and Pudface is a good description. Very droopy, very droopy alien.
Yeah, so if anyone's a fan of the other show we did one time, the early 90s Canadian RoboCop TV series, he looks like a character from that.
Really deep cut.
Yeah.
Again, I liked it because we haven't seen this race of alien before. Granted, we skipped a bunch of episodes, but like every time we tune in, there's like a new race of alien.
And his wife's also that alien, right?
Yeah. Also a droopy alien. They're illegal immigrants as well. That comes up later, that they've snuck onto the planet to do farm work.
Probably in Hate Street.
Yeah, well, that's just Captain Polly's like, we can't investigate every illegal alien. I was like, this show is too deep for the audience. Anyway, the episode then jumps forward several weeks for some reason. Brogan and Haldane receive a call while they're on the beat that two elderly aliens in a dilapidated tenement building are being menaced by goons. Of course, on the famous street, Jordan, we all know and love.
What was that?
Kazuki Street.
Oh, I forgot already. Yeah, Kazuki Street.
And Mark, this is of course the first time we get to see like these aliens in action. There's like three different like races of alien now going. Yeah. I just was kind of curious. Like the jowly one is new. There's this woman who has like really long jowls, but like this would probably be like the Bertha the Beast.
Yeah.
Of the aliens here, like which ones do you think were the like most interesting to look at? Because I believe the Creons are the ones who like have the wide eyes that kind of look like ET-esque. They're there, and then the other one is she also a Creon, or is she she's the other kind with the eye in the middle of her head?
There's the three-eyed ones, and there's like the three-eyed guy with the pirate or the eye patch,
mustache. Yeah,
the mustache.
I'm just gonna say now, you guys discussing this sound like you both live in Hate Street. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, we're just discussing about the
just describing them. So basically,
yeah. Which one of these aliens do you think is the least lazy, Mark?
I felt like I thought it was weird. Bertha was kind of the only one of her kind, but like I didn't know if that was like
the first time we've seen that alien before,
or because she looked just almost like a really exaggerated like elderly human. Like if you told me that these people lived to be 300, she could have been
just a normal
old
human who's just old.
You know what though? I liked the droopy lady because her and a couple people where they just have a few prosthetics, or I'm sure it's more than a little bit more than a few prosthetics, but they're the only people when they just like, it's like sort of a Star Trek thing, right? It's like give them a funny nose or give them a funny forehead or something, and they're an alien. Whereas, because every other alien has one problem, and you were both discussing it before of like where you could say where the mask starts and ends. Everyone has a gigantic head. And it's just something I love about all the aliens. They're all gigantic headed aliens, except for like droopy face lady and droopy ear person. Everyone's got like a humongous head.
Massive,
and the poor actor has to walk around with like 40 pounds on their shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you kind of like, it allows that for the performance. Like, I mean, the other ones are just kind of hard to really emote. And that's why
they can't emote.
I was surprised that they put some of these like, talented theater actors under so much makeup, and you can only really just see their mouth move, and you can't even really, they were giving it their all, but it was just coming down to a few blinks or of the prosthetic face. But yeah, that said, I still kind of had a thing. I think all the was it the Chirons kind of grew on me.
Yeah, something like that. The ones with the hammerhead eyes. Yeah.
Like most of them were on the police
Chiron,
force,
something
right?
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've decided this is that race's planet, and then everyone else there is like has moved in, because there's also a fever on the planet that kills dogs with the same name as that race. So that's our assumption.
I was okay. That was interesting to me because I didn't really catch whether this was Earth, but in the future, and like everybody else was from somewhere else, or if this was just somewhere else.
It raises a question, because if you watch the opening credits, he says he's been transferred to a new precinct from New York.
Right.
But I don't think you can be transferred from New York to the moon.
Like a totally different
like
planet.
It's quite a jurisdiction change.
Yeah, it wasn't the you named the street, but weren't they living? I saw a sign for New Rome, which I thought was interesting, and I was like, maybe
I saw that too, and I was like, where is that?
At the city? Like I thought I just assumed that's where they were living.
No, because the city's called the Meter City. The planet they live on is Altor, and this city is Kazuki Street.
Because they showed New Rome more than once. Because I remember flagging it. Okay. Well, now I'm kind of curious.
I also caught that. And I didn't know where that was going. There's a lot of world building going on that like just lets you know it's a big place. It's a big place, this universe.
What you need to know though, bad neighborhood.
That's just it.
Rough.
Bertha is being threatened with her friend to move out of this tenement building. Not threatened. The new landlord's actually quite polite. He's just asking them to leave the building. He's trying to buy people out of their spaces on it, and Bertha and her friend won't leave. They're like, we have friends in this building. We're not going anywhere. They do appear to be the only two people left in that building, though.
Yeah.
It's sort of implied that.
And for whatever reason, because Brogan and Haldane get called because there's some goons threatening the old woman. At no point do the police ever like connect the goons to the landlord. The idea, like, the landlord's trying to buy them out, and then goons keep showing up and threatening them, and no one ever like combines these ideas that maybe the landlord is behind the goons.
You know what? I kind of like that though, because once again in this, there's sort of an implication that our two main characters, which they don't lean into, and I don't think it's intentional, but they're not very good cops. And I like it because every time they go back to the precinct, their chief yells at them and basically says to you, like, why do you guys suck so much? Because he's like, you're cops, shouldn't you be doing this? And it's almost every episode. And I do like that there's a through line that, like, the characters we're following are not very good. And I kind of wish they leaned into it a little bit more, like, for a little bit of humor, that these guys are just like, they kind of suck.
Well, they chase off the goons initially, but the goons come back, break into Bertha's apartment, trash her robot butler, and lock her in a closet. So, we know she's in trouble. We know this is going on. But for some reason, the next morning, the police officer Haldane comes back to bring Bertha a gift for some reason.
The plant.
Yeah, there's a couple things that are weird. One, he sort of, like, as we're going to learn that he sort of has this, like, a familial relationship he sort of makes with her, sort of like
this woman he met for 30 seconds.
Yeah, and she's like giving him advice, like love advice later on and stuff. But that doesn't make sense because they just need someone to like talk to her, and they also need someone to see that somehow magically her apartment's put back together. This is a question for either of you. Did I miss something, or did they explain why her apartment was put back together and how the robot had no memory and all of that?
Well, that's just it. When Haldane finds her in the closet, they bring her back to her apartment, and it's fine. Like, it was trashed before by the goons. Now it's completely fixed. The robot butler has no memory of an attack. She's being gaslit for some reason. But I also wrote that in, like, who did this?
Yeah.
I don't think, was it the landlord? I'm not sure. We haven't talked about it yet, but the military intelligence we saw from the beginning who watched the asteroid crash have a surveillance van outside, and they've been watching everything happening in the building and just kind of letting it happen because they need to see what the landlord's up to. Is it the military intelligence people that, like, fix the apartment?
It wasn't
it's
clear
not
to
explained
me.
at all.
No. Like,
it's just the weirdest scene of, like she's gaslit. It's like, and so's the audience. You're like, why? Why? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it takes you a minute, too, because I did have a moment where I was like, oh, is she imagining
Oh, is this episode going to be about she's senile?
Yeah. Which kind of took me back to one of our projects, Luke. I was like, this lady, I'm like, is she?
We did make a short film about a elderly man with some dementia setting in who meets an alien. That is true.
Yeah, and the alien is like this alien from a comic he grew up with as a kid, and not really there. So I had a moment where I wrote Juniper vibes on my little notepad because
did I watch this as a kid? Question mark.
Did this inspire me before? Because I was wondering, was it going in that direction? Because I had no clue who would put the effort.
Anyone was, yeah.
Well, I didn't understand what they gained from putting her place right if they were trying to intimidate her, and they destroyed her robot. So somebody went and repaired Rocky, the robot,
oh yeah, his name was
overnight.
and change his programming that they were on his side.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, is the fact that the robot butler's name is Rocky, is that a reference to the movie Rocky where he had a robot butler?
You know what's funny, Luke? I actually thought that at first. I think it's just a coincidence.
Oh, that's funny.
But I think it was Rocky 4, though.
Rocky 4.
I don't think I got that far into the Rocky series.
One of the Rockies, he has a robot butler for some reason.
Yeah. Well, we won't go. There's a personal reason for Sylvester Stallone it's not actually funny, but in the movie it's funny that there's a robot there for no reason. I'll just say one other thing though that we just mentioned is that the military is watching it and letting things play out because they want to see what happens. Do you think that makes a lot of sense though? Their idea of like, we're just sitting here waiting to see what happens, like, win, lose, or draw. I don't know if that is a strategy or if it even makes sense to them as characters in this plot. Like I understand they want to have a certain amount of they want to have the audience in this waiting to see who they are and are they good guys or bad guys and what's their plan. But then when you find out like, oh yeah, well they're trying to stop this alien invasion, you're like, but you tried to stop the alien invasion by sitting back and going, you know what, I'm gonna sit this one out and see what happens. It's like, I don't think that's a plan.
I mean, we can talk about it later because we can talk about what their end goals and maybe closer to the end when it becomes clear of this episode. Because I agree, though. I think there's some big questions that don't really add up.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, Haldane, he pushes Captain Podley to investigate the old woman's supposed attack, even though there's no evidence, there's no indication that anything really happened. But he's having some sort of like familiar relationship with her. They're getting along. And, obviously Captain Podley's just like, no way, like we can't just investigate every little whim you have with no evidence. Like, it's not really your job. I did like the other cops at the station for like, one of them knows Bertha because she used to be his teacher in elementary school or something. But the other cops start walking around saying that Haldane is bopping the beast, i.e. he's sleeping with the old lady.
I wrote that line down. I was like, that's gross. Like just I was like
so
again
gross.
I was like, that's where the tone of the show is like, this is all over the place.
Well, and Haldane gets so pissed off, and you don't know this, Mark, but up until this episode, that is the exact line that Haldane would say in any given episode, and he gets so mad. He can dish it out, but he can't take it. Like he almost gets in a fist fight in the middle of the precinct.
Yeah. I know, it's just like it's not a funny joke, but it's just a joke. It's just like, you're like, yeah, cool, yeah, I'm having sex with that old lady. Just move on.
Well, he's been making fun of people's ex-wives the entire series.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, all this has been going on. We have a second partners. You may have blinked and missed them, Mark, but there's Castle and Tookie. One of the three-eyed aliens, her name is Tookie, and
okay.
Castle's the other human cop. They're the other two partners. And they've received the missing persons report about the dead farmhand we saw at the beginning. Yeah. They've also said, when we first meet them, talking to the fiance of the missing person. They tell the woman they can't investigate because there's not enough evidence. And the next time we see them, they're investigating the missing persons report again. And then Captain Polly's like, "Don't investigate. You don't you can't investigate this." Again, I don't know why anyone does anything in this show. Like, they're just like, they literally is a line where they're like, "We can't investigate. There's not enough evidence." Next time we see them, they're investigating. But where it brings them to is the farm where the meteor crashed at the beginning of the episode. It's now been locked down by the military. Military like plane flies in and chases them off. We kind of are left with this like, oh, what's the mystery behind this? Like they now are like investigating, I guess, what happened at the crash. And it is, I will say this, is maybe the first time we've seen on this show where they get outside of the city. So like we got to see those like exterior shots of the countryside. It's kind of nice to see more of this planet because up till now we've just been in that like really Blade Runner-esque city. So it's funny to go out and just see green fields and open space.
Yeah, I actually thought the whole world was just like a massive city. So it was like, I was like, oh, there's other jobs. I guess that's it doesn't matter. I gotta block off what I was gonna say.
You just want to talk about the various roles you could have on this planet.
That's right.
I was just gonna say again, it's a lot of like very Earth-like jobs. Like it was like you could be still be
Farm.
a farmer.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just sort of setting up. These are just kind of plot lines that are running in the background. But we go back to that tenement building, and this is what you discussed earlier, Mark, is the landlord finally needs to get those old women out of that building. So he sends those two goons up. I was laughing so hard because it is such a brutal death where they drag an old woman to the roof, throw her off, and the camera literally like follows her off the ledge and follows her down.
Bird's eye view. Like she had a GoPro wand in her hand.
And then it like lands in front of that military observation band that's outside, and they just look out. The two guys look out the window and be like, "Ugh,
Yeah.
that's too bad."
Yeah.
They're like, make sure we don't do anything. We just observe, everyone. We just observe.
Only look.
But basically, with this murder, that brings Haldane and Brogan back in. They get Bertha. She's able to remember the face of the goons, so the goons are arrested finally and brought in for the murder. But almost immediately, a military intelligence group shows up, takes the goons away. They're taking them to their own base, and Castle and Tukey are like, "Hey, why are these military intelligence goons here? We just bumped into them on this farm." They're like, "Maybe we should combine resources. Maybe our cases are connected." At which point they show a photo of the farmer to Brogan and Haldane, and they're like, "That farmer is the same person as the landlord," which is also the first time I knew that farmer was the same person as the landlord.
I felt that way too.
Yeah, I didn't connect it right away. I know they had like pink eyes, but it wasn't super clear until they mentioned that.
It was either an amazing reveal on their part, or if I was supposed to know that the whole time, huge miss. Anyway, now that this has all gone down, the landlord/farmer, who we I guess know is possessed by an asteroid, is now escalating the eviction of the tenement. So he just starts burning it down. He just starts burning down the entire building. And it's revealed as to why he wants everyone out of the building, why he wants the building torn down, what his whole mission has been this entire time. And that is because a piece of that asteroid is under that building somehow.
I know, yeah. It landed there years and years ago.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. I was curious.
I know, it doesn't make sense.
No, it's so big too.
Because we saw it crash to the ground and kind of explode, so I thought maybe like fragments got shot everywhere. But I was like, how did this one end up under this building?
Just did.
A mystery the show will never reveal.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe, you know what? Maybe the asteroid, maybe one of its abilities is to put back robots and plates on a wall.
Oh, maybe the asteroid itself is the haunting.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Brogan and Haldane show up. They rush into the burning building. They save the only person left living there, I guess, Bertha. And the landlord is killed when Brogan, I guess, punches him into the fire.
Yeah, another like really dramatic like fall shot as he like falls down the staircase. Like,
falls into the fire, screaming in pain. The building literally explodes. Which is one thing that the show does great, is explosions, miniature explosions. But it's very funny to watch a building explode for no apparent reason.
Bertha would be keeping her little propane tanks were inside the apartment, so.
And obviously the military intelligence is there standing, watching it all happen. Brogan sees them and he walks over, and Brogan announces to them, he's like, "I finally understand what you're doing here at this apartment, military intelligence. There's something under the apartment that you want." And I was just like, how did you put those pieces together, sir? It's impossible.
Yeah.
Well, and don't they respond by saying, like, he's like, "What is it? Tell me what it is." And they're like, "We don't know what it is." Like they didn't actually, I feel like they weren't really clear what they were looking for. So I didn't know why they were looking. And also, just to go back, like, they somehow can see everything everywhere. Like, they've got cameras all over the place.
Every room.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. It is bizarre. I mean, I'm picking apart the plot to this episode, but like I had a lot of fun with this episode. But like when I tried to connect the pieces, good Lord, it was impossible to connect.
Yeah.
And then, as we know, this is a two-parter, so there's going to be more to this episode. But it is actually a pretty decent wrap-up because like the plot's done to this one, and there's a little wrap-up scene at the end. It's very mild, but it sort of sets up the next part. Where one thing that comes up is. Brogan starts looking into the military intelligence people to see like what that was all about, and there's no record of them anywhere, which it's not really, of course there wouldn't be.
Yeah.
The second one is the military intelligence have now got this final piece of the asteroid, so they've got whatever they need to do for the next episode set up. And the third part, which we didn't really talk about, is throughout this series there's been a will they won't they with Haldane and Castle, the two other cops, the female-male cop pair. Will they, won't they? And once again, they end the episode with them. It's like, maybe they will hook up, maybe they won't. Next episode will reveal whether these two finally get together.
Because she's getting she's been getting like presents, and I'll just bet to this now because we'll talk about the reveal later. What she's getting sent to her at her desk is she's got like red roses sent to her and chocolates, and seemingly other presents have been sent to her. And I don't know if they've said it's Valentine's. I think maybe it's Valentine's. But anyways, this person who will be unnamed till later has been sending very romantic gifts to her, so it makes a lot of sense.
Oh, I think they say this at the end. They say this right now. This is where they reveal who's been sending her gifts that have made Haldane so mad that she has a suitor.
Right. So it ends up being her brother, and I remember there being like, so it could be like he's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, and I was like, does it? Does it make a lot of sense? I'll tell you how many times I've sent my sister red roses and chocolates for Valentine's. Zero times. That's gross.
Yeah. No, I have a sister too, and it hasn't happened yet.
I just want to remind you I love you very much. Wink, wink. It's like, what? What is happening?
So things are different on her planet.
Yeah, baby.
Earth. Her planet is Earth.
Yeah.
Anyway, that sort of wraps up part one of this two-parter. It's a pretty, I was worried these were going to be, really, hardcore, cut in the middle of the episode, but it is a kind of a wrap-up to an episode. We get a teaser for the asteroid, and then mostly it's just about, what's going on in this tenement building. So we'll get into the next episode, which really digs into, hey, what's the deal with that asteroid? Here's the IMDb summary for episode 24, Death Watch Part 2.
Luke, that's a better title, though. Hey, what's up with that asteroid? That's a better title for the episode.
Everyone's asking it.
The red areas are eruptions from a space-borne parasite. At first, everyone thought they were meteors, but they started spreading like a fungus, killing all organic life.
The team learns that the meteor is a parasitic alien seed, and the meteor fragment is a spore to fertilize it. Bringing them together will destroy all life on Altor.
Yeah.
I did love the stakes get a lot higher in this episode compared to the previous episode.
What I appreciated about this episode was the first part was all build up, and then it was just go in this one. It was a lot of action. And a lot more stakes.
I agree. I think the second episode was better than the after the setup. But wouldn't you have liked it if it had been made a little bit more clear that, because I guess maybe I was confused. I was like, so wait, there's two rocks, and where did they both land, and why do they need? I know they explain it all eventually, but I think I would have just liked if they if you had two different sets of cops.
Explain.
Well, sort of.
Because again, we come back to we saw the one land, but then again, there was one under this apartment the whole time.
One that's under a building.
Just waiting for
if you had two cops, it should have been that one find one and one find the other in these two disparate cases, and then they realize after that, oh, these two things are connected in some way, and they intertwine them by you get to episode 2. But it's not really that. It's just there was another rock. What is it? Oh, it just pieces together there. You're like, oh, okay. It wasn't even needed. You could have just been this rock landed and it sends out spores. Done.
Well, really, how this episode works, it really shifts the action or how the plot line works here. Because we start this episode, we really dig into these two military intelligence officers who we saw we saw them throughout the last episode, kind of conspiratorially in the background, but they become main characters this episode. They start the episode with them. We didn't talk about them much. One is named Walden. Yeah. She's a human being who's a military intelligence who's working under her boss. One of the three-eyed aliens. This one you mentioned, he has a little mustache and an eye patch, which is amazing.
Yeah.
He never gets a name. I just called him Eye Patch the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they've gathered this one fragment of the asteroid. They've put it in a container. They're going to, Eye Patch, we're going to bring it back. We're going to put it with the other asteroid and see what happens. Walden's a little concerned. She's like, hey, you sure that's a good idea? Maybe we should just destroy them now and just not take the risk. And as we're having this conversation, the asteroid, as we know, can possess you. And since the landlord is dead, it possesses Eye Patch. He gets in a fight with Walden, and she escapes with the fragment to prevent him from putting it back with the main asteroid. So kicking off, we're now in the world of these secret agents more than we're in the previous episode.
Yeah. And
we cut back, which we didn't do much last episode. I think the only time we saw Brogan and his family, which is a runner throughout the series, Mark, is we constantly cut back to his suburban life, which has very little to do with his cop life.
Yeah.
And is much more sitcom-esque. But this time we go back, and Brogan is at home, And he's forgotten his 15th wedding anniversary.
Big day.
These are always the worst parts of the show. They're the worst. And they almost, the first episode, they almost got away without doing it at all, except they had one phone call from his daughter. It was like, hey, I'm back from school. He's like, all right, daughter, I got to go back to cop work. And I was like, okay, there, you got away with it. And then they had to bring it this episode. They're like, hey, it's anniversary time. I'm like, oh, what is this, Family Matters? This is the worst.
I did like last episode when his daughter calls, and the whole thing is just like, Dad, I need to pass a test. And he's like, study.
Yeah.
Daddy's busy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was like, it is again, tonally, again, you're just jumping around a lot because it did feel very, very sitcom-y kind of Family Matters moment.
Well, in the way they've done almost every time we've had an episode of the show, we see him and his family. He's hanging out with them. He literally walks out of his apartment in his car, and he's abducted by Walden at gunpoint.
Yeah.
This happens nearly every episode. The bad guy shows up and abducts him out of his apartment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone knows where he lives. It's so easy to look up his address.
You know what, though? In this particular one, I like thinking, it reminds me a little bit of like, the Arrested Development bit where, the magician, he's hiding in the box the whole time. It sort of reminds me of that, because I was thinking when she's waiting for him in the car, it's that whole thing. He gets in the car or the spaceship, and he's ready to go, and she's in the back being like, I got a gun on you or whatever. And I was like, how long was she waiting there?
Yeah.
I think she was there for hours. She's watching him eat dinner with his family. She's just like, is he ever going to go back to work? Was he taking a shower now?
Yeah, she's in the car. She's got cameras everywhere. We know that. So she's just watching. He's like, oh, my God, he forgot his anniversary. That's embarrassing.
His kids are really giving him the gears.
Yeah.
He's like, Dad, you're on the verge of divorce from Mom. You got to get on this. Anyway, she abducts him, and she basically explains, I need your help to find the full meteor so we can destroy it because I think it's bad, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, why would I help you? So she injects him with something called T28, a compound that will unravel his DNA unless she gives him the antidote. And she's just like, there, now you're motivated because if you don't help me, I'm going to unravel your DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you found this, but I felt like everything that sort of like, including the serum that she gave him, and even the meteorite, like the infection rate, everything they gave generous timelines. Like she's like, if you don't get the antidote within 52 hours. And I was like, oh, that's a good amount of time to get whatever you need done. And then same with the like parasite. I think it said that it would take like, at least like 19 hours or 19 days. Like it wasn't like you've got like an hour before you're going to die with the serum. I was like, why did they make that choice?
It'd be funny if she was like, and this thing is going to kill you at least within 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, okay, I'll roll the dice on that.
Because then like 20 minutes later, she's like, well, you kept your word. Here's the anecdote. And I was like, well, all right. Like, that timeline.
Well, you know what? That actually bothered me because I thought at least they set some sort of kind of stopwatch on the show. Like, I will grant it that, yes, it's probably too long. But like, at least there was something of like, oh, he has now some motivation to do it. And then like it was like 2-3 scenes later, they're like, anyways, we got rid of that, so just pretend that never happened because that's gonna come back later. It's like, well, okay.
I thought the same thing. The fact that she gives him the antidote almost a scene and a half later, and be like, sorry, I did that. I was just like, no, like the whole point of this was like, you're in military intelligence, you're cold, you're calculating, you just get things done as you need to. And like, because what'll happen is she's very quickly arrested and put in a prison cell. And I'm like, oh, great. That'll motivate Brogan to break you out. Because if he doesn't, he's going to unravel.
Yeah.
But instead, they're just like, no, we need to make sure the audience knows she's a good guy. So she gives him so that's the choice. Like, we want the audience on her side. And it's just like, it's a way more interesting episode if Brogan is against his will being forced to constantly help this woman.
Agreed.
Because if he doesn't, he will unravel.
Yeah, and you know what? It sort of feels like maybe in an earlier draft, and I'm only, guessing at this, it feels almost like that was the direction they were going to go, because later on, at the very end of the episode, where they have Castle and Haldane and everyone, and they're all like, questioning each other about whose loyalty is with what and stuff. I was like, oh, there's something to that if it was that he will do whatever he has to do to get, because he knows he's doing the right thing, but he may have to break all the rules along the way to do it. And also because it's in his own self-interest because he wants to live. And I was like, well, that's interesting. But yeah, they're like, no. Don't worry, she's got the antidote. Anyways, just forget about that for a little while.
No, I think you're right. It felt like they would decide that like either we need to use this device to show that she can be trusted, or we can double that down. And I felt like if she withheld the antidote, the whole precinct would rally around trying to save him as well, and she would kind of have control over all of them because they all obviously care about their cop buddy.
They love Brogan.
So
It was a weird turn for sure.
it was.
But other than that, like what she gives him this thing, she's like, you have to help me. And then she goes into like exposition mode, and we get to an explanation for what's happening, basically. One, that meteor that crashed into Altor, actually came from another planet on the other side of the galaxy that it wiped all life out on, because it's a parasitic fungus that kills organic life, but only once you get the spore that goes inside of it. So what they have to do is destroy it to prevent that to happening to Altor. So we kind of finally understand like what the stakes of the episode are. And she does a long exposition. She shows us like she has video footage. She's like, here's live footage from the planet.
Cameras everywhere.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
The military and the planet also were like, guys, don't do anything. Let's just see how this plays out.
And what I liked is Brogan's like, all right, step one, let's go to the police precinct. We'll give the asteroid piece to the CSI team, and they'll look at it. I was like, what is the CSI team going to tell you about a spore asteroid?
Yeah.
I mean, they've got that computer. Seems like he can tell you a lot.
Really, all they do, though, is they go there. She's immediately arrested by the eye patch guy, shows up with military intelligence. It's one scene. She's arrested. They're put in a cell. Military intelligence is already there. Come to get the stuff back. Like, it's as if nothing happened in the previous scene. She's immediately arrested, basically. And this is where Walden gives him the antidote to prove she's a good person. And this trust makes Brogan be like, oh, I shouldn't trust Eye Patch. I should trust her. So I'm going to break her out of prison to go destroy the fungus, so that basically they just set up a new set of stakes as to why he's helping.
I have a question, though. What does the actual military think of this, though? Because you now have two different people working for the military with two different goals here, and they're choosing obviously the wrong guy.
Walden never called in. Walden never called in and told anyone anything.
Right. Is that what we're supposed to guess?
Well, I think, but my take was that Walden, like, they wanted to stop this, but then Eye Patch is under the spell of because he gets zapped, so that's why it turns him evil.
Yeah, I guess he's just a superior, so what he says goes.
Yeah,
because that was my thing. I was like, well, why is everyone listening to him? I guess.
Yeah, I guess the question is, why did they arrest her?
Yeah, because she's still trying to stop it.
She said.
Well, that's the thing. It's like she's saying she's still trying to stop it. So it's like, and it's not like she's done anything crazy. So I was just like, well, because they keep trying to do this like weird cloak and dagger thing, and they have like the other military guy that shows up, and he's like, oh, I'm here for reasons. I'm like, but what? Does he want the planet to blow up? Like, I don't know what he's trying to do.
You're talking about Eye Patch?
No, there's like a commander that calls in later.
Oh yeah, he didn't seem to have a clue about anything.
I see. He's just upper management.
Yeah, basically. I didn't understand. Like, I kept waiting for him to like weigh in, but he was really. They kept everything really vague.
Yeah, whatever happens.
Yeah. But I guess because she, you know what? I think because she ended up using the serum on Brogan, that was probably like the thing that I guess made her appear the one to not trust, at least to the cops, or I don't know. But it was the superior. Yeah. I didn't understand his role at all.
It never really comes together.
Because then later on, he implies that he has to kill everyone if that's what he needs to do, right?
Yeah,
he also
so
does. I'm like, why? Why is that even an option?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all very confusing. But what's important is Brogan's going to break her out so they can go destroy the asteroid. So they become fugitives now. They're on the run from the law. The police are out to get them. The military intelligence are out to get them. They're on their own. But more importantly, it's still Brogan's wedding anniversary, so he's got to stop by his house.
Yeah, you got to love that.
Well, Luke, it's actually genius because no one would ever think that you would go back to your own house if you're on the run, would they?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I actually think they would.
I do like he goes home. He's just like, I'm going to leave you here for a second. I got to do something really important. And he goes home and he's like, hey, it's our wedding anniversary. And she's putting on a classic black and white movie with the Warner Brothers logo.
Oh, I paused.
But I don't know if you caught it. You pause it? Did you see the name of the studio?
I didn't catch the name, but I realized it wasn't a full W. It was more like UB. Like it wasn't quite. It was altered.
It was Hagrid Bros Films.
Okay.
I don't know why. It tickled me.
I thought, because, it's always fun. I thought maybe Warner Brothers was the ones back in the day that picked this up, but I don't think so.
But basically, she's about to put out this movie. He comes in. He's like, sorry about our anniversary, but something crazy is going on. She's like, I've heard all of your police buddies are here.
Yeah, she's the worst.
Yeah. I was surprised.
She sold him out.
Yeah, I know.
Well, to be fair, he forgot their anniversary, so, maybe she wanted some company.
But no, there was a bit of a turn. And it was like, a real, like, friends stick together moment because they were all, like, not really there because they didn't trust him. They were all just like, we need to understand so we can help you. And I was like, all right, these guys are, they got each other back.
Haldane and those two desk officers, the two crazy aliens, are like, we're joining forces with you because we know you're a good guy. Which I also thought was funny because back at the precinct, now Podley has like lost 4 police officers. They've all broken rank. And he's just like talking to Castle and Tookie. He's just like, go arrest them all. What is happening? What's happening with my
What's
police
in control of my whole team? Yeah.
I'm going to lose my job. Well, he's gone home to visit his wife. Eye Patch shows up, finds Walden. I don't know, they're just parked in like an empty lot or something. He gets the seed finally so that he can go, and he goes back. They've got like a weird military, I think they call it Site R. They've got a weird military base where the asteroid's in there. There's a hole that you can insert the seed into, the one they got from under the tenement building.
Perfectly.
Like a glove.
Well, and that was the other thing too, is it dawned on me. I was like, oh, they actually like moved this whole thing. Like they got under the building, moved this big asteroid over to this base. And then, yeah, that piece that fell from the sky just fit.
Fit right in there. Fit right in there. And then it starts sprout. I did love this. It starts sprouting like roots out the bottom of it that like are going up the walls. Like eyeballs are shooting out of all the. It looks crazy.
No, it was impressive. That was like one of those things that I at first was wondering if it was gonna like kind of get legs and start like like taking off.
Oh yeah, go full tripod.
But no, again, it was like that's where the practical effects. I was really kind of impressed.
It's kind of scary. Like I was like, this is like horror movie level, like practical effects of like tentacles and stuff. I'm like, this would be cool if this were scary. Yeah. But now that with the seed gone, this is what you said. Walden's like, well, we now only have 19 hours to stop the fungus.
Like the better part of a day.
He's like, I could probably go home and see my wife again, right?
Yeah, I could get the dinner in.
Yeah, have a nap if you need to. Yeah. But thankfully for them, because they have no idea what to do, it's all gone. They don't know where Site R is. A helpful news report comes on the TV where they happen to be standing and says, hey, this farmland outside the city has had some strange crop failures overnight in the Tri-Valley area. And they're like, well, that must be where it is.
Yeah, obviously.
Real like Deus Ex Machina very quickly on a television screen. They head there. They kill a few military guys who are just like,
take them out. Yeah.
They're not bad necessarily, but like Brogan's like, one of them is like flies up, like, please, you can't fly in here. I need you to turn around. And Brogan's like, I said if I ever saw you again, I'd kill you. And I'm like, what? You've never seen this random military guy before? Kills that man. He just shoots him out of the sky.
Yeah, it was weird because it was supposed to be like this badass moment, but I thought the same thing. I'm like, you just killed that guy, but like, why?
Yeah.
Why'd you kill him?
I think it was just to like the payoff of like the setup of that line where he was like, next time I'm gonna shoot back, and then he gets to say,
which also it's not a really great line. Like that's it's not like a it's not like it's not we're gonna need a bigger boat, guys.
Jordan, you stood up and you're clapping in the living room. He told you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a few of those. Like it felt like there were a lot of like one like lines. Like they were very like, you could tell they had fun with like throughout both episodes trying to get those
for
punchy,
sure. They definitely tried to deliver some like action one-liners whenever they can. They them and like basically Brogan, his cop buddies, and Walden, they invade the military base. They disarm all the other military guys. They get inside, and Mark, this has been a runner throughout the series, is that anytime Brogan faces an obstacle, say a locked door, which is often the case, the only solution Brogan has for any obstacle is to shoot it.
Right.
It's the only thing he knows how to do. So they bust in, they get to the spore. It's got like tentacles everywhere. Eye Patch has gone insane, and Brogan's like, I'll take care of this. And he pulls out his gun and he points it at the spore.
I know.
And they stop him because they're like, if you shoot it, it's going to explode and shoot spores everywhere. And he's just like, well, I'm out of ideas. And he holsters his gun.
Yeah. No, I caught that. It's like, of course.
But that enzyme from the beginning that they were going to unravel Brogan's DNA comes back at this point. They're like, all right, we can use this to destroy the spore by shooting it into the thing. And Eye Patch, I guess he sort of has some of his right mind left. He's like, you'll never get close enough. It'll never let you. Use my body as a shield so I can sacrifice myself and die while you inject it with the thing. And I was just like, what?
Well, that was the part I didn't get. I was like, is it also, like, you also can't touch it? Because I didn't know you couldn't do that, because when they put the spore in, it didn't have a problem.
I think it was that it's going to shoot those radiation possession waves at you, but he's just like, my body will absorb them.
Well, I thought originally Eye Patch was just going to inject it, and I was like,
yeah, I thought so too.
But then his hand was like up in the air as he was being like shocked, and I was like, that's not going to work. And then Brogan came in, and
they wanted to block it in the most awkward way possible, and I'm like, how are they standing? What is happening?
They inject the spore, it dries out, it gets all gray and dries out, and they're like, we beat it.
It does
and then
dry
it
out.
explodes for no reason.
they're like, we need it to blow up one more time.
Which I loved. But this is what you said. There's this higher up military intelligence guy that Podley keeps talking to throughout the episode.
Yeah.
He calls Podley back, and Podley's like, I keep losing my cops. They keep turning on me. And and the military guy's like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to drop a bomb from space on that place. Problem solved.
Yeah.
And it's just to start a new ticking clock. So they've saved the day, they think. They're walking out of Site X. Tookie and Castle land in their cop car, and they're like, all you renegade cops are under arrest. It's like, we're taking you all in. And then Haldane's like, wait, what if I told you I'm in love with you? And she's like, well, in that case, you're not under arrest anymore. They finally fall in love. Some sort of radar picks up that this bomb is incoming. So Castle and Haldane jump in a police cruiser, and they're like, we got to shoot the bomb out of the air. They fly up in the sky. They do. There's not a ton of tension here, but they like blow the bomb up that was going to blow them all up. And the day is completely saved. And we get a denouement, the final scene of season 1 and the entire series, in which we see Captain Podley and all the aliens get together to drink some booze after hours. Mm-hmm. Which, the most impressive part of this to me was that all those actors in those alien masks were able to grab the glasses.
I know they had those gloves looked really awkward throughout. I don't know how they held anything.
He's pouring them drinks, and they're having to reach out and just like, oh man, it must be so hard to know where to, because those eye slits are so small to hide them. I also liked Captain Podley gives a salutation before they cheers, because he's like celebrating with his officers, and it's an old Irish apparently cheers. I'm just like, so Captain Podley is supposed to be an Irishman.
Oh yeah, we have the accent, right? Or was like, I don't know. I thought he was Scottish, but that makes it. I guess
maybe that's what it is. I like to assume now that he's like Worf from Star Trek: Next Generation. He was raised on Earth by a human family. Instead of Russia, it was Ireland.
Right.
We then cut to Haldane and Castle hooking up. They're literally post-coital.
Yeah, I know.
Finally, on a kid's show.
But I guess, I mean, you can speak to this. I don't know if they've been building this all season between the two of them, or
really poorly.
Poorly.
Like every episode, they're just like, "Can I take you on a date?" And she's like, "Maybe," and then they cut away. And then Brogan finally goes home for his anniversary, which is, they're like, we do the same thing we do every year for the last 15 years. We watch an old movie. And I was like, that's a bad anniversary.
Yeah. And then the kids come in again and really just make fun of them and like
just razz them so hard.
Call them dinosaurs. Yeah. I mean, it was like, not to jump ahead, but I don't know if you caught it, but like he leans in and kisses his wife, and the last sound of the season is like a like this little moan as they kiss from him, and I was like, ugh. I don't know if that's what I'd go out on.
I mean, we have seen throughout the season that his wife, especially as the episodes go on, his wife started getting this one character trait, which was she just wants to get intimate with her husband, and her husband's constantly leaving.
Too busy.
He's too busy for it. So maybe that is the denouement. It's like, finally, she got some action.
Got her night.
But that's it. That's the series. I don't know if you guys have any final notes. I just wanted to make one final note that I'd written down, that at some point it's going into Captain Podley's character. We're learning more about him in these quick cutaways. But at some point we cut into his office, and he's reading a celebrity tabloid paper, and the headline on the celebrity tabloid is "Pop star Cotty Mara jilts Gil at altar." And I was just like, great. Tell me more about about these pop stars, these alien pop stars, and why Captain Podley's so invested in their relationship.
To be fair, now as someone in his 40s, that sounds like every time I hear like a news story, I'm like, Glippity Dob just broke up with Skippity Bob. I'm like, oh, okay, great. I don't know who any of these people are.
I don't know who you're talking about. I know. I feel the same way with like a lot of SNL hosts now. I'm like, who's hosting? I don't know. Who's the musical guest? Not for me.
I'm like, why don't they just put Miss Rachel on? I know who she is.
Yeah, musical.
See, that's not Captain Podley. Captain Podley keeps up to date with pop culture. He wants to know who's hosting SNL.
Yeah. He knows what's what.
But yeah, anyone else have any final notes they want to get to before we rate these final 2 episodes?
Can I just say, I wish that the rest of the show was like, this was a mess and it was kind of bonkers, but it was like fun the whole time. And it was something that I think was really missing through a lot of the episodes of this show, where like I didn't think it was fun ever, but for whatever reason, the spore asteroid, I was like, sign me up. This is a fun one.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say it was a blast. Like I really enjoyed it. And it like, again, like thinking back to the stuff that I loved most in the 90s, like growing up, like I think I would have been all over this show. Like it would have, because I know what you're saying, like it wasn't quite the family show, but I think still, like if you were 12, 13, 14 at the time, like I think this thing would have just hit right.
Yeah, I know we had to watch quite a few of them.
Yes.
And like not all of them are great, but here's the thing: is these 2 reminded me of like what I liked about watching the show while we were watching it. Like
right.
So much, the plot does not connect. The writing leaves something to be desired as far as like connecting plot points, but it's so dumb. It's so fun. The aliens are so weird. Everything is like, I was watching these 2 being like, I'm going to miss this show. This is a lot of fun. This is very stupid. This is very fun. I think I like the Tenements a bit more for some reason, but I don't know why. It's a weird show. Let's rate it then. I mean, Mark, out of kind of a possible 10, what would you give the first part 1, the tenement building, Death Watch part 1?
I'd probably give part 1 more like a 7. Like a 7. Yeah.
All right. Jordan, what do you think?
I'm also giving it a 7.
Great. I agree. I think I'm going to give it a 7 as well. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then part 2, Mark, what do you think about? Because I know they're kind of 2 episodes, but they are at least neatly separated in some ways.
Yeah. No, and I think I would definitely go higher. I think I'd give it a good solid 8. Like I enjoyed it more. Like it just, and again, I think you needed the setup to get there, but I think it was a lot of fun. Like it was just a kind of messy romp in space.
Yeah, I agree. Jordan, what do you think?
I would give it an 8, except I don't want to know anything about their anniversary. 7.5. You lose 0.5 there.
I will say I think I like the tenement building a little bit more, and I don't know why. I just think I liked the mechanics of seeing like the city more than like kind of the big world like save the world thing. I'm gonna go still a 7 though. I think they're still about the same, but like I think there's a slight lead. I don't want to go like 0.1 lower, but I think it's a solid. I think these were both solid. I was just like, I had a lot of fun watching both of these episodes.
Yeah, there was a line in the second that I was like, it made me laugh, and it probably sums up the show. But it was I can't remember. I can't remember if it was Podley or if it was the higher up of the MIA, but one of them says like, this is an intergalactic like military problem, and then one of the cops jumps in and goes, we're city cops, we can handle this. Because again, so much of their stuff felt so domestic, but then they just like jumped in, and to your point, just like guns blazing at whatever the problems was.
I mean, that is very much the theme of this series, is like they appear to just be beat cops who drive around responding to calls, but they'll like unasked, they'll go undercover. They'll like do detective investigations that are outside of their pay grade.
Yeah.
Like all the time, they're just like way overreaching their role.
Sign me up. Yeah.
Well, let's check the continued red computer and let's just see what the final rating is now for the total series of Space Precinct. Let me just punch this into the computer.
What does Rocky say?
All right. The final rating overall for Space Precinct is a 5.35. It's pulled itself up a little bit from where it was last week.
A little bit.
Yeah, it did. It definitely pulled itself back a bit. I do feel a certain amount of loss. After watching these two, I was just like, this was a lot of fun to watch, actually.
Yeah, see, I don't know if I feel the same way. I like these 2 episodes because I think, actually, Mark made an interesting point that, like, about, like, the city cops kind of dealing with this, like, larger kind of story. And I think maybe I was trying to figure out what it was I liked about this, and I think maybe that was what it was. I think it just felt bigger and felt like, even if the stakes didn't quite make a lot of sense and they didn't always land, it felt like there was a little bit more stakes, more than just like, hey, we got to find a beetle this week. You're like, oh, okay, guys. And you all got big heads? Oh, great. Like, it's just like, that was what most episodes felt like to me. We're just like, and now let's cut back to the family. Guess what? They got a dog this week. I'm like, oh my goodness, how much longer is this going to go on for?
Right.
Whereas at least this one, it kept moving and moving, you know?
I feel like I got spoiled then.
Well, it was the big finale.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mark, thank you for joining us to finish off Space Precinct.
Yeah, no, thanks for the invite. It was a blast.
I've enjoyed the room you're sitting in slowly getting darker and darker as time passed.
I thought I'd have enough light by the end of this, but yeah, it's nightfall.
We've kept you so long. It's the dead of night when you were in the middle of the afternoon when we started. And listener, if you want to get a hold of us, you can reach us at continuumdrag@gmail.com. And of course on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Blue Sky, we'll have clips from these episodes. It's nonstop good clips. We're going to watch that old lady fall off the top of that building. I promise you that.
Yeah. That spore exploding, them shooting down a rocket.
Lots of good stuff. There's nothing but good clips in this.
Them watching their that old black and white movie on their anniversary. That was riveting.
It's the sound of a smooch as the episode ends. All right. Well, that wraps it up for us here. Listener, thank you for joining us. And Jordan, see you on the next one.
See you then.
Can't get enough Continuum Drag? Commission a bonus episode for charity.
Want us to watch an episode we missed after using the escape pod or during a best of run? No problem.
Is there an episode of a series we've never watched or a TV movie you want us to cover? You got it.
Wish we'd comment on your favorite movie, content, or other weird media? Sure, why not?
All you have to do is make a donation to one of the charities selected by past guests on our website.
We suggest a donation of $50 per television hour of content we're watching, but everyone's means are different, so give what you can.
Get all the details about bonus episodes for charity on our website, continuumdrag.podbean.com, or follow the links in our social media profiles.
Continuum Drag is recorded in Ontario, Canada, and Seoul, South Korea. Theme music by James Rick Seidler. Produced by Jordan Dullick and Luke Black. Special thanks to Aaron Hughes.